It wasn't the growl. It was the silence that came after. That kind of silence doesn't float. It drops. Heavy. Suffocating. Like thunderclouds crawling over a ridgeline just before lightning strikes. For Gavin Holt, a former military handler turned single father, just trying to survive another Thursday morning with his 2-year-old daughter and lukewarm coffee, that silence would change his entire life. In the kitchen doorway stood Axel, a retired K-9 German Shepherd. 94 pounds of muscle and memory, a scar split across his muzzle from a combat mission overseas. His loyalty was bone deep, unshakable. And right now, he wasn't moving. No tail wag, no ear twitch. Just still, like a statue carved from instinct. Gavin turned from the sink. He noticed it instantly. Axel only froze like that when danger was near. At the breakfast table, little Mira was swinging her legs and socked feet, laughing as oatmeal clung to her spoon. The morning light filtered through the kitchen blinds, scattering gold across her tangled curls. She was halfway through her favorite, banana cinnamon oatmeal. Standing behind her was Jessa, their live-in nanny. Mid-30s, soft-spoken, always early. Today she wore a powder blue sweatshirt and jeans, cooing gently as she raised another spoonful toward Myra's mouth. One more for the princess. Jessa smiled. Axel moved. Not a bark, not a growl. A full-blown lunge, violent and sudden. The sharp clatter of claws on tile cracked the silence. Gavin didn't even have time to shout before Axel locked his jaws around Jessa's arm, the spoon flying across the counter in a metallic arc. Mira screamed. Jessa shrieked and stumbled back, Axel holding her forearm, not shaking, not tearing, just clenched, firm, focused. Axel out. Gavin's voice thundered with the kind of command forged in battlefield smoke. Axel released. Jessa crumpled against the cabinet, clutching her arm as blood darkened the sleeve of her sweatshirt. Myra's cries pitched higher, and Gavin scooped her from the booster chair, her fists grasping his collar in panic. Then, silence returned, except for the beat of Gavin's heart and Myra's terrified whimpering. He turned to Axel, who had backed into the pantry area, ears still forward, eyes locked, not on the nanny, but on something on the floor. The spoon. What the hell? Gavin muttered. Jessa was shaking, her voice shrill. He attacked me. He lost it. I didn't do anything. But Gavin wasn't looking at her. His eyes followed the spoon's arc. It had landed near the edge of the counter, and on the metal was a strange, faint pink smear. Not banana. Not cinnamon. Outside, sirens wailed down Ashbridge Lane. A neighbor had already called emergency services. Gavin barely heard the door open. A paramedic wrapped Jessa's arm in gauze. Mira refused to be out of Gavin's arms, still sobbing into his hoodie. 2 officers stepped inside. One of them was an old colleague from Gavin's police days. We have to take the dog, Gavin, he said. Standard behavioral hold. He's a decorated K-9, Gavin protested. He's not some stray. I know, but he bit a civilian. It's procedure. Axel didn't resist. Gavin clipped the leash himself. No growl. No twitch, just eyes that never once left Mira. But just before stepping out, Axel turned his head back toward the kitchen. The spoon. That knot in Gavin's gut twisted tighter. He hadn't seen the nanny do anything unusual in 6 months. Mira loved her. Background checks clean. References spotless. But Axel didn't snap without cause. As the animal control van pulled away, Gavin whispered through the barred crate door. I'll figure this out. I swear. Back inside, Mira clung to her stuffed fox on the couch. Gavin found the spoon on the floor and gently picked it up with a paper towel. Something about it, an acrid, almost metallic smell, sent an old combat instinct firing through his brain. He scraped a portion of the oatmeal into a Ziploc, not for the police, for someone he trusted more. 2 hours later, Gavin sat outside a discreet veterinary lab on the outskirts of Stone Hollow, engine idling. The building was small, more bunker than clinic. Inside waited Dr. Rosalind Keller, a military toxicologist Gavin had worked with in Fallujah. If anyone could test oatmeal for poison without setting off alarms, it was her. She met him at the back in trance, eyebrows rising as he handed her the Ziploc. From your daughter's breakfast? She asked. He nodded. Smelled like metal. Axel stopped her from eating more. Can you run GCMS? She didn't ask another question. Give me 2 hours. Gavin didn't stay. He had Mira to watch, and his instincts were humming with old battlefield tension. That night, she slept in his arms on the couch, her breath warm against his chest. He didn't respond to Jess's text asking if she was fired. He just waited. The next morning, he returned to the old concrete block county shelter on Ridgeway Drive. The place still smelled of bleach and wet fur. After checking in, they let him back. Axel stood when Gavin approached. No whines, no barking, just a silent press of weight against his handler's legs. A silent question. Are we okay? I'm getting you out, Gavin whispered. The shelter tech, a young woman with a tattooed sleeve and tired eyes, stood nearby. He hasn't touched his water, she said. But he hasn't growled once. Most biters, they pace, snarl, snap. Not him. He's different, Gavin said, kneeling to scratch Axel behind the ears. The dog leaned into it, but kept glancing past the chain link toward the far corner. Always alert, still guarding. By mid-afternoon, Gavin's phone buzzed. Rosalind. I ran the GCMS, she said. Trace ethylene glycol. Antifreeze. Gavin gripped the steering wheel until his knuckles went white. How much? Tiny dose. Early stage poisoning. You caught it in time. But repeat exposure? Mira would have suffered acute kidney failure within days. Can you document it? I will. But if you're thinking court, you'll need more than chemistry. You'll need motive. Proof. Gavin's voice was steel. I'll get it. That night, Gavin went to the hallway closet. He hadn't touched Jess's purse since she'd left for urgent care. He pulled it out now. Receipts. Gum. An expired Midwest Link bus card. But then he found a prescription bottle. Name. Marlene Carter. Drug. Fluoxetine. Facility. Northside Women's Correctional Center. He froze. Not Jessa. Marlene. A newspaper clipping at the bottom of the bag told the rest. Mugshot. A headline. Mother sentenced in child neglect case. Deliberate underfeeding alleged. Same face. Same woman. Different name. Gavin grabbed his phone. Detective Juno Marks. The voice answered after a ring. Gavin. She's not who she said she was, he said. Her real name is Marlene Carter. I've got her pill bottle. I've got an article. She's a convicted child abuser under a false identity. Marks was quiet a beat. This changes everything. Detective Juno Marks didn't waste time. She used a false name with a child present, Marks said. That's felony identity fraud. Before we even get to the poisoning. Where is she now? Gavin asked. Claimed she was recovering at a cousin's place after the bite. No address. No verified location. Her phone's off. She's hiding. We've issued a bolo across 4 states. Her alias and real name are now flagged in every hospital intake system from here to Kansas. That night, Gavin sat in the kitchen. The pink hoodie still hung on the wall hook. Mira slept soundly in her crib, and in his hands was the old Nanny cam hard drive. He hadn't reviewed all of it, only the clip with the oatmeal. Now he would see it all. He fast-forwarded through days of footage, his jaw tightening with every second. Marlene, posing as Jessa, walked in daily like clockwork, played games, sang lullabies. But something was always off. She stared at walls for long stretches, whispered under her breath while folding laundry, rocked back and forth during Myra's naps. On one frame from 3 days before the bite, she took out a small white packet from her purse and carefully poured the contents into Myra's juice cup. Gavin paused the frame. There it was. Cold proof. The next morning, he sat across from Detective Marks at the station. She was in her early 40s, sharp-suited, expression tight. You're not accusing her, she said carefully. You're giving me cause. She slipped something into my daughter's food, and Axel stopped it. He didn't bite out of aggression. He intervened. We'll have to hold a hearing on the dog, Marks said. But if this checks out, we reclassify it. Protective response. And we build a criminal case against Marlene. She's out there, alone. And Myra's name was on that oatmeal container. Mira had a mild fever the next night. Probably a delayed response to the toxin, said Dr. Feldman, the pediatrician, on a late-night call. Push fluids. Bring her in tomorrow. Axel hadn't left Myra's side since his release. He slept outside her bedroom, shadowed her every step. He didn't eat until she smiled again. The dog knew. Just after midnight, Axel growled. Deep. Controlled. A sound Gavin hadn't heard since Kandahar. Gavin grabbed his sidearm and moved toward the back window. A figure moved by the shed. A hooded woman, flashlight in hand. Something clutched to her chest. Gavin typed a quick text to Detective Marks. She's here. Alone. Then he stepped outside. Axel paced beside him like shadow and muscle. Marlene. Gavin shouted. Don't move. She spun, startled. It's not what you think. Axel surged forward, not to bite, but to block. He stood between them, teeth bare, growling low. You fed poison to my kid, Gavin said, voice tight with rage. You faked your name. You're done. It wasn't. Axel barked, sharp and cutting. Tires screeched down the gravel drive. Red and blue lights flashed across the yard. Detective Marks stepped out, hand on holster. Hands up. Step away from the shed. Marlene dropped what she was holding, a small bottle, and raised her hands. She didn't resist. She didn't speak. As the cuffs clicked on, Gavin exhaled for the first time in days. Axel sat at his side, gaze steady. You saved her life, Gavin whispered into the fur behind Axel's ears. By dawn, the air in Gavin's house felt lighter, like a weight had been lifted. Mira was safe in her crib. Marlene Carter was in custody, and Axel, the dog once labeled aggressive, was asleep in front of the fireplace, finally at peace. Gavin ignored the buzzing of his phone, reporters, colleagues, strangers. Instead, he reopened the nanny cam footage. Not the clip he'd already seen, but everything. He needed to understand how close the danger had been. The earlier footage chilled him. One clip showed Marlene staring at the wall while Mira babbled on the floor, completely ignored. Another showed her whispering, not to Mira, not singing, but whispering to herself while washing a cup. For days before Axel's bite, she reached into her purse, pulled a white envelope, and poured its contents into Myra's juice. And Gavin had been 10 feet away. He hit pause and quietly whispered, You saw her. When I didn't. Later that morning, Gavin met Detective Marks at the precinct. She's not just facing local charges anymore, Marks said, sliding over a case file. Federal charges are pending. Identity fraud while under supervised parole. An attempted poisoning of a minor? That's not going away. Gavin flipped open the folder. Inside, a psychological report from Illinois. Mandated post-conviction therapy. 3 sessions attended. Then she stopped showing up. Notations in the margins. Attachment disorder. Paranoia. Resentment toward maternal roles. Detachment from consequence. Marks tapped the bottom of the page. She didn't think she did anything wrong. Or she thought Mira was just like the child she hurt before, Gavin muttered. She saw this family as a second chance. Not for redemption, but to reassert control. Not this time. Marks didn't disagree. The next afternoon, Gavin stood outside the Stone Hollow Animal Shelter again, this time to sign the final release form. Axel was officially cleared. Unprovoked aggression, stricken from the record. The behavioral evaluation filed by Melinda Keene, the K-9 trauma specialist, had made it crystal clear. Axel's actions had been protective, not reactive. Controlled. Targeted. The shelter staff clapped as the door opened. Axel didn't run. He padded toward Gavin, slow, steady, then placed his head under Gavin's palm like the mission was done. Time to go home, buddy. Gavin buckled him into the truck. That night, back home, Gavin opened a padded manila envelope delivered earlier by Detective Marks. Inside, items found in Marlene's motel room. One was a beat-up composition notebook labeled M. Blake, Daily Notes. He opened it. What he saw turned his stomach. Mira trusts me now. She doesn't cry when I put her down for naps. Logan leaves at 8:15. The dog watches. He doesn't blink. He knows. Toward the end, the entries became erratic. Pages filled with scribbled sketches of cribs, childlike faces. A German shepherd with eyes scratched out. One page simply read, "This time, I'll do it right." Within days, the district attorney filed formal charges. Attempted poisoning of a minor, 4 counts. Identity fraud. Endangerment of a child. Parole violation. Marlene Carter's bail was denied, and the town responded. Local news ran the headline. Retired K. 9 exposes poisoning plot, saves child's life. A photo showed Axel sitting alert in front of the county shelter. Gavin's inbox flooded. Former colleagues, neighbors, veterans. Some offered to donate to Axel's care. A bakery sent gourmet dog treats. A cafe renamed their dark roast Axel's Blend. Even an elementary school invited Gavin and Axel to speak to students about courage and instinct. The following Saturday, the mayor hosted an impromptu community thank you event. Kids wore stickers that said K9 Save Lives. A booth handed out lemonade and Axel plushies. Local K9 officers gave a short demo. Then came the formal moment. For his instinct, valor, and unwavering protection of a child in danger, the mayor announced, "We name Axel an honorary guardian of Stone Hollow." Applause rose. Mira, now holding a bouquet of sunflowers, walked forward and hugged Axel's neck. He licked her ear. The camera shutters snapped like fireworks. Later that night, Gavin sat on the porch with a beer, Axel at his feet. Mira slept upstairs. The stars hung silent. In Gavin's hand was Marlene's old notebook. He flipped to the page with the line that once haunted him. The dog watches. He doesn't blink. He knows. He looked at Axel. "You knew, didn't you?" Axel blinked once, slowly, then rested his chin on Gavin's boot. No bark, no growl, just the quiet confidence of a guardian who had done his job. Weeks passed. Mira laughed more, slept better. Gavin started trusting peace again. He mounted a new plaque above the fireplace. Axel, loyal, protector, partner, friend. On quiet mornings, Gavin would find Axel lying just outside Myra's door, as if the threat still lingered, just in case. But nothing would get past him. Not now. Not ever again. If this story moved you, if you believe in the power of animal instinct and the bond between protector and child, please like, comment, and share. Have you witnessed a moment when a pet sensed danger before any human could? Tell us in the comments. Subscribe to Wildkin Pawas Stories for more real-life stories of loyalty, instinct, and courage. Because sometimes, the loudest warning doesn't come from a bark. It comes from silence.